Good morning. Welcome to the early line here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, going to be with you here for the next few weeks while we have World Cup action. I'm going to be sitting in with Joe Ranieri to get you ready for your sports wagering day each and every Monday through Friday. So welcome into the show. We got a lot to get to here on the program. We'll talk some NHL, some NBA, and of course, it's a big Major League Baseball weekend as well. And in fact, in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night, we had a significant move, and we'll tell you about that, and also prediction markets coming up in about 90 minutes from now. But before we get started, we turn it over to my partner here, of course, the host of the early line, Joe Ranieri. It's time for Caffeinated Joe.
Well, Craig, I thought it'd be really good if we talked about, I don't know, the World Cup, which just started yesterday, and of course how FIFA is ruining the one thing casual soccer fans actually loved about watching the sport. Because yesterday, the 2026 World Cup kicked off, and Mexico beat South Africa 2-0, which was fun, but nobody was talking about the actual action on the pitch after that game, because instead, social media was in an absolute uproar over FIFA's brand new mandated, and I quote, hydration breaks. Yes, hydration breaks now. They claim these 3-minute pauses at the 22 and 67-minute mark of every match are for player welfare and well-being. That did not go over all that well to the casual soccer fan, because the veil is so thin, it is laughable right now, because this is just a naked corporate cash grab to cram full screen commercials down our throats mid-game. And that's really all it is, because casual American fans loved soccer for one principal reason: efficiency. You turned on the game, you got two uninterrupted halves, and in 90 minutes or so, it was over and you went on with your life. That was the key to soccer and watching it. But FIFA completely overestimated not only the patience, but also the wallets of the American consumer during this World Cup, apparently, as we still have thousands upon thousands of tickets that have gone unsold for these matches. They essentially turned the sport into a game of, well, 4 quarters now, creating over 800 new ad spots throughout this tournament just to squeeze a few extra bucks and revenue from the U.S. consumer. And to make it an absolute disaster, Fox Sports completely botched the very first test yesterday. Their ads ran so long in the second half that viewers came back to the game after the play had already resumed. You literally can't make this up. And even the U.S. men's national team coach admitted that he hates the new rules and finds it completely unnecessary unless conditions are extreme, which is funny since the last World Cup, I believe, was in Qatar, which is pretty much the desert. Now, meanwhile, Telemundo is proving that it can be done right. How? Well, they're refusing to run the full screen ads during the pauses to protect the authentic experience, which is ultimately all soccer fans want. FIFA is already making record revenue, yet they just could not resist squeezing every last penny out of the consumer. If you were on the fence about how greedy this organization truly is, well, I think yesterday gave you your answer. But here's hoping that Team USA can run the table and win a ton of games here over the next couple of weeks. But let's hope, Craig, that they stay hydrated as well.
Well, Joe, I mean, that does sound like bad news, but honestly, I think it's a great idea. So we are announcing here on the early line that our first hydration break is coming at 7:18 a.m. When you tune into the show, you're just going to see me drinking coffee on the show, and Joe with 7 Red Bulls and 1 in each hand to get through the show here. No, all things considered, though, yes, I mean, definitely a new way to watch the World Cup this season, but I don't think anybody should be surprised. I mean, this is soccer's premier event. I mean, I guess in the future, who knows? You know, some people, Joe, they just watch one sport one time. Maybe the Triple Crown will have hydration breaks too. You know, they stop halfway through running the horses. They make them stop to get a little bit of a drink and then keep going. But great stuff by Joe as we begin the show. All right, so let's get to the Stanley Cup Finals here for a minute. It does appear the Carolina Hurricanes are now officially on the doorstep of winning their first Stanley Cup in 20 years. They beat the Golden Knights last night 4-2. Each game has been better than the next, although last night the Carolina Hurricanes were in control. As of right now, there's one game to be played. There's a possibility it could be 7 games, Joe, but this does seem like inevitable. Carolina looks like the better team in this series.
Well, it certainly did last night, and they finally got some goaltending, which I think helps here. But listen, Vegas has been feisty, and they are going back home. I had always said, Craig, all week, I was hoping for 7 games. It's been a fun series, a great series. I don't think there's a lot separating these two teams. So it would not shock me if we're back in Carolina next week for a Game 7.
In baseball this weekend, of course, weekend slates begin. Teams are in new places, and an old face returns on Saturday. Tariq Skubal is going to be back on the mound for the first time in the majors in over a month. He had a surgery that is getting him back on the field faster than anyone that has had this injury before. He made a minor league start on Sunday, and he looked great. Now he gets an opportunity to come back, and you see, of course, the American League Cy Young markets have certainly shifted quite a bit since he's been out, Joe, but he looked really good in his first minor league start back. What do you make of his start coming up this weekend?
Well, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that he is scheduled for quite the payday coming up here. And how long is he actually even going to be wearing a Tigers uniform, I think is the next question, because is he going to remain a Tiger come the trade deadline? That a lot of question marks right now, but something tells me, Craig, had he already gotten a $500 million contract, which he's likely going to be pushing here over the next couple of months, would he even be back here this fast after this? Because you mentioned it, less than a month, and he had surgery on his elbow. I wish him nothing but the best. I really do.
Yeah, he's, definitely the best pitcher in the free agent market.
Ooh.
And of course, who knows if there's even going to be an extended free agent market this season, maybe a month before they lock it up, as they say, but who knows? All right, real quick, let's get to an NFL story here. Henry Ruggs, who we haven't heard his name in quite some time, was denied parole by the Nevada Board of Parole Commissioners. And certainly, Ruggs was guilty in 2023 to a DUI that resulted in death and a misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter charge that killed a woman and her dog. So we will not see Henry Ruggs out of jail anytime soon.
No, 1 year, I think, is the now he's got to wait 1 more year. He's 27 years old. And from what I understand, most people, their first time up for parole doesn't often go well there, Craig.
Phil Mickelson is no longer a member at the Farms Golf Club outside San Diego. A female club employee has accused him of inappropriate contact before a round of golf earlier this spring. How about that?
Yeah, well, I guess there's an opening at that golf club in San Diego you always wanted to belong to there, Craig. So there you go. Opportunity knocks.
Definitely not. Mexico wins the first match, as Joe mentioned, 2-0 against South Africa. They were a heavy favorite in this one. And I guess if you bet them minus a goal and a half, that was more reasonable than the minus 500 going into this thing.
Yes, good win for them, by the way. And a lot of people thought they might be a sleeper here in this tournament, worth keeping an eye on.
All right, we'll take a quick break here on the early line. Plenty more to come here on the show. We will get into a whole lot more when we return here on the program and start talking some more World Cup. We have Team USA ready to kick off, so to speak, this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern. You're watching. And welcome back to the early line here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish in this month as we get you ready for World Cup action. Joe Ranieri, of course, here with me as we break down everything happening in the world of sports and sports betting as well. It's a big World Cup weekend. We've got that. Of course, the Stanley Cup Finals now on the possibility of 1 game away from one team winning, and the NBA Finals resumes tomorrow. So let's get started with some of our top stories here on the show, and that includes the Carolina Hurricanes 1 win away from their first Stanley Cup in 20 years. They defeated the Golden Knights last night 4-2 in Game 5, and now Game 6 is Sunday night in Vegas, or Carolina can close it out. But Joe, it seems to me from talking to you about this at least a bit, sounds like you think Vegas has got a shot to win this next one, and we could be headed toward a Game 7.
Craig, I always thought it was a Game 7 in this series because I did not see a whole lot separating these two teams. They're both more than capable of obviously finding the back of the net. We know that. But we also know both goaltending has been a little bit shaky, to say the least. I love the experience Vegas has at being back home, backs against the wall. I expect a huge effort for them. I think Carolina eventually wins it in Game 7 on their own home ice, but I do think Vegas very much alive to get this thing to a Game 7.
Tariq Skubal pitched in the minor leagues last week. It went well. The Tigers have decided to activate him off the injured list. He's back after having what they called loose bodies in his pitching elbow. He had a new surgery that got him back on the field quicker. It looks like it potentially has worked. He'll start in Cleveland, a little bit over a month away was what we were told when he got hurt. It was hard to believe, Joe, but it turns out to be a reality here. We'll just see how healthy he is and how deep he can go on Saturday.
Yeah, it's very strange, right? And you got to wonder is the fact that, he is due for, and you brought this up last hour, it's important, that, will there even be any baseball or free agency period remains to be seen. But he is due for quite the payday here. I don't think he needs to throw another pitch, Greg. Honest, I don't know what he's trying to rush back for. But if it's simply because... is he really okay? Because this is very strange that you go under the knife with an elbow, clean out whatever, and then a month later, all of a sudden, I'm ready to go on a team that, I don't know, can't even get to 500 here, it feels like at this point. So the whole thing is very strange to me. I wonder if it's money motivated.
Meanwhile, talk about strange. Story out of nowhere yesterday ahead of the upcoming U.S. Open. How about this one? Phil Mickelson no longer a member at the Farms Golf Club outside San Diego after a female club employee has accused him of inappropriate contact with her before a round of golf earlier this spring. Talk about a story I didn't see coming here on this Friday. This is one of them.
This broke yesterday, and it's interesting because we just had, the PGA Championship, which he withdrew from. He has been citing that there's a family health issue, that he is stepping away from, golf at this point. But it felt very weird because there was no, everyone's like, where's Phil? And then all of a sudden there's this family issue and nobody really knew what was going on. And then this story broke, and where there's smoke, there's fire, right? And it'll be interesting to see. His attorneys have finally made a statement saying that there's a lot of misinformation, but the only information we're hearing is being leaked out of the club right now that he had to go.
Now, in the case of Henry Ruggs, he's been denied parole by a Nevada Board of Parole Commissioners. He's serving a prison sentence after pleading guilty in 2023. He had DUI resulting in death and misdemeanor from a 2021 crash that killed a woman and her dog. I don't know, honestly, that there's much more for you or I to add about this, so we're going to move on. How about the World Cup? Mexico wins yesterday 2-0 over South Africa. So certainly a good start for them. But this was the appetizer, Joe, for the main course, which is today. Canada will play Bosnia at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then the United States plays Paraguay tonight at 9.
Hold on, I got a hydration break here. Quick, hold on.
I already hit mine. What is that you're drinking right there, by the way?
Okay, good. Oh, that's some sort of orange, electrolyte thing there. I can tell you this: the main conversation of after yesterday's two matches was, why are there commercials running during a soccer match? And that is going to continue. So yes, get ready. FIFA has sold a whole lot of commercials now within these soccer matches. No more 90 minutes and go on with your life. You're going to have to deal with hydration breaks and commercials here on out. But hoping Team USA can get the win at a pretty good price here today.
Shohei Ohtani left yesterday's start with some knee inflammation. Dave Roberts told reporters yesterday that he doesn't think that it's anything and that he could potentially play on Friday. I guess I'll be a little skeptical of that, but it doesn't seem like it's anything significant, or he would have given us some information. But Joe, as you know, the way that this works, player gets hurt in sports, immediately we hear good news. And then, half the time it's not good news. But I think with Ohtani, it sounds like he could play. And if not on Friday, maybe this weekend. But he's having, of course, this incredible season with a 6-2 record on the mound, 1.06 earned run average.
Yeah, and it really does feel like it was coming off of the night prior, which he pitched and the bullpen melted down. Then he and he hit in that game, right? Then yesterday he hit a home run. I think he was 2 for 2, and then all of a sudden the knee was an issue, and they sat him down. And it felt all very precautionary because they were leaving that game last night, heading to Chicago for a new series here. So, yeah, I think he'll be just fine. But it just felt like, all right, let's give him a breather here. We should be good to go.
Wimbledon announces a 20% increase in prize money, raising their total to $85.8 million. Singles champions earning $4.8 million. But that falls short of what some players have been pushing for, including the world's #1 player, Aryna Sabalenka. She said that she's even floated a boycott if demands are not met.
Yeah, this is just in time too, right, for the Serena comeback. I think all of a sudden now listen. Apparently, they have been screaming about not being paid enough money on professional tennis, which I think is kind of funny since it's always the same 4 people that win every tournament in the men and women's side anyway. But okay, Wimbledon is saying, all right, we'll give you more money. Kind of what the Live Tour did, but that didn't work out all that well.
New York has renamed a Manhattan street corner Thierry Henry, which is ahead of the 2026 World Cup, honoring the French icon and former Red Bull star. At 50th Street at 6th Avenue, he joins Pele, who has been honored over in Queens. Both run through November as New York hosts the World Cup matches at MetLife, including the final. We're getting real busy in New York these days, Joe. We got OG Anunoby Day. We're renaming streets after soccer players. It's been a really busy time for some of these people.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you don't, use the GPS because you're not going to know the name of the streets anymore as they all get renamed. Bridges, I think, are coming. Hospitals will be changed, and everything will be Knicks, except for the fact that they haven't won anything yet. But, okay, let's go with it. Keep renaming the streets. I guess it's the least they can do.
Maybe we'll Ranieri Street in Jupiter. Maybe that's the next one.
No. Set it on fire.
Palm Beach? Joe Ranieri Stadium?
Yeah.
Joe
they
Ranieri
won't even let me over the bridge. Who are you kidding?
Oh, that's not true. All right, welcome back. It is time for Prediction Markets Edge here on Friday on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, along with Joe Ranieri, getting you all set for some of the trading options on the different prediction markets. So let's get started with Prediction Markets Edge. And we begin with Kalshi versus Polymarket. Kalshi has asked the CFTC in late April to crack down on Polymarket. There's infighting with the companies for not blocking U.S. users from their offshore exchange, but the request didn't make the agency's rule proposal released Wednesday. Kalshi has otherwise been winning policy battles in the CFTC, and they have a valuation of $22 billion. Isn't this an interesting dynamic here, Joe, considering that both of these companies have been battling everybody outside of the prediction markets? Now they're fighting themselves inside. I got some news for you. They shouldn't be fighting each other. Just let it be.
Exactly it. Do not get distracted from the bigger picture, Craig, which is, listen, prediction markets are here to stay. They're not going anywhere, which is why you're starting to see traditional sports books now offer these kinds of markets, and that's the direction they're going, right? If you can't beat them, join them. The last thing you want to do is be battling with the two markets, the two platforms that pretty much have established what the prediction markets are all about. So hopefully they all get on the same page. Plenty enough money, I think, Craig, based upon that valuation to go around for everyone.